I'm 79 years old, and I've held the hands of over 400 people as they took their last breath. 400. That's not a guess. I kept a journal. Every name, every date, every last word I could remember. And I'm about to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable, might make you want to stop listening. But I need you to hear this because I spent 41 years learning what people actually say when they know they're dying. And it's not what you think. It's not peaceful. It's not beautiful. And it's almost never about the things you're chasing right now. My name is William Brennan. I was a hospice nurse for 4 decades, and in a profession that was 98% women, I was the guy in the room. The oddball, the one families would look at sideways when I walked in, like they were expecting someone in a skirt to come hold their mother's hand. But death doesn't care about your expectations, and neither did I. I didn't plan to spend my life with the dying. Nobody does. You don't grow up dreaming about that. I was 23 years old, just back from Vietnam, couldn't sleep, couldn't hold down a job, couldn't stop seeing things that weren't there. My father called me a coward, said real men don't fall apart, said I should have come home proud. I came home broken. I got a job as an orderly at St. Francis Hospital in Milwaukee because they were desperate and I was warm. Mopped floors, changed bedpans, did the work nobody else wanted to do. And one night I was mopping the hallway outside the oncology ward when I heard a sound I'll never forget. A woman crying out, not in pain, in terror, pure terror. I went in without thinking. Nobody else was coming. The nurses were busy, the family had gone home, and this woman, her name was Genevieve, I found out later. She was alone in that room, and she was dying. And she knew it, and she was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't trained for this. I was a guy with a mop, so I just sat down, took her hand, and I stayed. She talked for 3 hours about her husband who died in Korea, about the daughter she'd pushed away over some argument she couldn't even remember anymore, about the garden she never planted, the trip to Paris she kept postponing. And then she said something that changed my life. She looked at me with these clear eyes. The morphine had worn off, and she was just present, just there. And she said, I spent my whole life getting ready to live, and now it's over. She died at 4:47 in the morning. I was still holding her hand. That was 1973. By 1976, I was a registered nurse. By 1980, I was working full-time in hospice care. The doctors told me I was wasting my talents. The other nurses accepted me eventually, but it took years, and my father never spoke to me again. He died in 1984, lung cancer, refused hospice care, refused to see me at the end. Some men would rather die in agony than admit they need tenderness. I've thought about that a lot. Here's what I need you to understand. I've been with 400 people in their final hours. Rich people, poor people, professors and plumbers, believers and atheists, a senator, a janitor, a woman who survived Auschwitz, a man who'd been to prison for killing his wife. And I'm telling you, when the morphine gets high enough and the fear gets big enough, and they really know this is it, they all say the same things. Not all of them, but enough that patterns emerge, enough that I started writing them down. And the 3 biggest regrets, the 3 things I heard more than anything else, I'm going to tell you. And I need you to actually hear this. Not nod along and forget it by tomorrow. Actually hear it. Number 1, and this was the most common by far. I wish I'd had the courage to live my own life. Not my parents' life, not my spouse's life, not the life that was expected of me. My own life. I heard this from men who'd spent 40 years in jobs they hated to provide for families, who would have rather had them present than comfortable. I heard it from women who gave up careers, gave up dreams, gave up everything to fit the mold their mothers handed them. I heard it from a 64-year-old man who told me he'd been in love with his best friend for 40 years and never said a word. He died reaching for a hand that wasn't there. We spend so much time trying to be acceptable, trying to fit in, trying to meet expectations, and then we get to the end and realize we traded our one wild, unrepeatable life for applause from people who aren't even in the room when we die. I watched a woman, a retired school principal, pillar of the community. Everyone loved her. I watched her spend her final days crying about the art she never made. She'd wanted to be a painter, had talent, real talent, but her father told her that was no career for a serious person. She was serious for 67 years, and then she was gone. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. This one came almost exclusively from men. Almost exclusively. And I'm not proud of that pattern, but it's the truth. I held the hand of a man named Arthur, 81 years old, built a manufacturing empire, 3 factories, hundreds of employees. His name was on a building at the university. You know what he talked about at the end? A fishing trip in 1978 that he missed because of a board meeting. His son had been 8 years old, kept asking when Dad was coming. Arthur sent his regrets. His son was 62 when Arthur died. They were cordial, polite. They shook hands at holidays. That's what 30 years of board meetings bought him. I watched Arthur cry over that fishing trip like it happened yesterday. He could remember the date, July 14th. He could remember the lake his son wanted to visit, Lake Winnebago. He could remember everything except his son's face at 8 years old, because he wasn't there to see it. You think you're building something. You think you're providing. You think there will be time later. There is no later. There is only now, and now, and now, until there isn't. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings, to say I love you when I felt it, to say I'm sorry when I owed it, to say I'm angry, I'm hurt, I need you, I miss you. We swallow so much. We pack it down. We tell ourselves we'll deal with it later, when things calm down, when it's the right moment. The right moment is now. The right moment is always now. I sat with a woman named Dorothy, 93 years old, sharp as a tack until the very end. And she told me about her sister. They'd had a falling out in 1961. Over a man, if you can believe it. A man neither of them ended up marrying. 62 years of silence over nothing. Dorothy's sister had died in 1987, and Dorothy had spent the next 36 years carrying the weight of words she never said. I was so stubborn, she told me. I was so goddamn stubborn. And now I'll never get to tell her. She died saying her sister's name. Margaret. 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 I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this is sad, but it won't happen to me. I'm different. I'm aware. I'll do things differently. That's what they all thought too. Every single one of them thought they had more time. The senator thought he'd retire and reconnect with his kids. The professor thought she'd finish her book next year. The plumber thought he'd take his wife to Italy after the business settled down. The business never settles down. The right time never comes. And then you're in a bed that smells like antiseptic. and there's a stranger holding your hand, and you're bargaining with a God you're not sure you believe in for just one more chance to make it right. You want to know the worst part of my job? It wasn't the death. I got used to death. Death is just a door. Everyone walks through it eventually. The worst part was watching people realize too late. That look in their eyes when it finally hits them, when the denial cracks, when they understand that this is it, this is really it, and all those things they were going to do someday. Someday is a lie we tell ourselves. Someday is a thief. Someday will steal your entire life if you let it. Now here's where I have to be honest with you, because I'd be a hypocrite if I just preached at you without confessing my own sins. I spent 41 years holding the hands of the dying, listening to their regrets, writing them down, promising myself I'd learn from them, and I still made the same mistakes. My wife, Ellen, married 44 years. She died 6 years ago, pancreatic cancer, 3 months from diagnosis to death. You want to know what I regret? I regret every night I came home too tired to really talk, every dinner I was physically present for but mentally gone, every time she wanted to tell me about her day, and I half listened because I was still carrying someone else's death in my chest. Was so good at being present for strangers, so good at holding space for people I'd just met, and I couldn't do the same for the woman who loved me for 44 years. She told me once, this was maybe 10 years before she died, she said, "William, I feel like I'm competing with 400 ghosts." I didn't understand what she meant at the time. I do now. I have 2 sons, Michael and Thomas. They're 53 and 50 now. Good men, families of their own, and I don't know them. Not really. I know their schedules, I know their kids' names, I know what they do for work, but I couldn't tell you what keeps them up at night, what they dream about, what they're afraid of, because I was always somewhere else, always at the bedside of someone else's father, someone else's husband, while my own sons grew up in my peripheral vision. Thomas told me once, he was maybe 16, he said, "Dad, you care more about dead people than you do about us." I told him that wasn't true, but it was. God help me, it was. I was so focused on teaching strangers how to die that I forgot to teach my boys how to live. I'm 79 years old. And here's the strange thing, I'm not afraid of death. I've seen it too many times. I know what it looks like. I know the stages. I know the smells. I know how the breathing changes, how the skin goes gray, how the eyes get that faraway look. It doesn't scare me. You know what scares me? Being forgotten. Becoming one more name that fades. One more face that blurs. Being reduced to a headstone that my great-grandchildren walk past without a second thought. And here's the thing I've learned, the thing that keeps me up at night. You're not remembered for what you achieved. You're not remembered for your title or your money or your accomplishments. You're remembered for how you made people feel. Every patient I ever sat with, they didn't talk about awards. They didn't talk about promotions. They didn't talk about the things they owned. They talked about people, moments. A hand held in the dark, a laugh shared over nothing, a look across a room that said, "I see you." That's what lasts. That's all that lasts. So here's what I'm asking you to do. And I'm not asking nicely. I'm old, and I'm tired, and I've seen too much to be polite about this. Call the person you've been meaning to call. Do it today, not tomorrow, not when you have time. Today, say the thing you've been swallowing. Say, "I love you." Say, "I'm sorry." Say, "I need you." Say whatever it is that's been sitting in your throat for months or years or decades. Stop working so hard for a future that isn't guaranteed. Your kids don't need a bigger house. They need you, present, alive, paying attention. And for God's sake, live your own life, not the life your parents wanted, not the life society expects, not the safe life, the acceptable life, the life that won't rock any boats. Live your life, because you don't get another one, and the boat is sinking anyway. I'm 79 years old. My wife is gone. My sons are polite strangers. My journal is full of names that nobody else remembers. But I'm still here, and every morning I wake up is a chance to do it differently. I called Thomas last week. First real conversation we've had in years. I told him I was sorry. I told him he was right back when he was 16. I told him I wished I'd been a better father. You know what he said? He said, "It's not too late, Dad." And maybe it isn't. Maybe it's never too late, but it is later than you think. I've held 400 hands at the end. I've heard 400 goodbyes. And now I'm asking you, don't wait until someone's holding your hand to figure out what matters. You already know. Deep down, you already know. The question is whether you'll have the courage to act on it. Thank you for listening to an old man who spent his life learning things the hard way. Now go make the call. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've got your own story, your own regrets, your own lessons, leave it in the comments. I'll read every one. I'm 79 years old. I've got nothing but time.